Hey,
Hi there.
hi.
We're going to talk about paranormal stuff. Because we're in an old castle where a lot of paranormal stuff happened. And it's in a piece of property that goes way back for millions of years of paranormal stuff. John,
Wow,
what kind of paranormal stuff have you seen?
paranormal stuff. At this place,
Yeah,
on this
well,
property, or
well, right
somewhere?
now, yeah, let's start with this.
Well, I have a video on it, and I saw like a buffalo head peer out behind this thing, and so fast it was maybe a 30th of a second, appeared and disappeared. And
You,
that
you say that was your peripheral view, or was it right in front of you?
right in front of me, but flashed for a second, like right when I turned, I saw it. And I have a video on it. Look up Buffalo Head John Birmingham.
Have you,
Buffalo Head, good old Buffalo Head
when
John
you
Birmingham.
have you seen much at the peripheral? Like, I remember watching TV when I was a kid, and I'd be kind of mesmerized by the TV. But then I'd see stuff over here in my peripheral vision, and then I
Yeah,
go, "What is that?" And then when I looked at it, it wouldn't be there. So when I
yeah,
wasn't really looking at it, when it was right over here, I'd see some really strange stuff.
yeah.
And then I go, "Wow, what is that?"
I've seen that in my peripheral vision
Right?
clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you
Um,
look at it, it's gone.
as far as peripheral goes, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a video on that too. It's called something about my house, ghost, paranormal, John Birmingham. You look up my name, ghost paranormal. I have like a sage that I went around and put sage in the whole house. Oh,
That works.
I breathed it in. It hurt. I didn't ever do it again
It actually
with the sage. But
it's
I
called
saw
smudging.
something right here. I saw something right here,
Right.
like a light bluish, translucent material that
Uh-huh.
was still somewhat refracting of light,
Did it look like
and
anything?
it was like
a shape of anything?
whitish blue substance hovering around, almost like the stuff you'd see around a woman flying in Ghostbusters or something, but just the material. And it was right there in front of that big table. When I looked down this, and that's in that video too. You look up Sage John Birmingham, Sage John Birmingham. You'll see the video on this house when I put sage everywhere to get rid of the things that I saw in my peripheral vision and right here. And technically it could have been dust in the air or something, but it was frightening to see down here. And I don't recall exactly why it happened, but there was something related to I did something, and then all of a sudden these things started showing up, the ghost things. But it wasn't anything bad. Sage is legal. Sage is legal. There's
Sage
nothing
is a
wrong.
plant. The
That gets
Native
rid-
Americans use it. It's called smudging,
Rid of the.
and it clears the spirit. That's what it does. It clears the spirit.
How long have you known about sage?
Oh, 50 years.
50 years.
Yeah, I've been doing ceremony with the indigenous people. I've been studying paranormal psychology since 1968. I was at Duke University studying paranormal psychology. I did this thing. I made what are known as sensory deprivation tanks. And when you,
And you do speeches at some of these colleges and universities today.
yeah.
You give lectures.
Yeah, lectures. But
Yeah.
back in the day, I was doing more research than lecturing.
I don't know if you were matriculated at Duke or not, but even if you were or weren't,
I was doing
I'd like to
research.
clarify. I mean, he's actually
I
given
did, bottom line, it's,
lectures at those universities.
the thing
Recently he
is, it's
did.
the experience that counts. It's what you've written about those experiences and what you published, and that you can back up with your research. That counts. Degrees, because I'm a guy who likes to do things with a team, not just me, a group. And a lot of those guys had degrees.
I can do that when I do my movies.
Yeah, movies is great.
If I were to do another one again.
Movies are like a team thing.
Yeah. But we've done a ghost hunt before.
Mm-hmm.
I had a group of ghost hunters come
But
to
it's
my
more,
house.
John, I'm interested in what you've experienced. What you've, like,
Okay, the
because
thing
you
that
don't need a
caused me
degree
to,
about what you
the
experience.
thing that caused me to do the ghost hunt, you can see that video too. Ghost Ghost Hunt, John Birmingham, is the thing that caused me to see that, experience that, was I was out at this old house like built in the late 1890s, I believe. It was over 100 years old, and it was out in the country, really southern neighborhood, rebel flags and stuff here and there. And I had just unfortunately gotten separated from my wife at the time.
So you experience a feeling
And I
of
went out to
loss.
this house, something like that. But it spooked and scared me and sent me out of there one night.
Wow.
I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was these frightening things,
How did it make
like
you
in
feel?
various parts of the house.
How did you
And
feel?
this is one thing that I do remember. When I was walking out, running out, getting out of the house, I was going to get in my car and just drive somewhere else and stay somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
As I was leaving the house, I stayed there for a while, but this in particular, just some ghost thing. And my parents still own the house. They own it over there. So they own a couple houses on that street. It's like we found them messed up. They fixed them up, whatever. But when I was walking out of the front door, there was a bush, a huge bush, and I was walking. All of a sudden, this huge gust. It was kind of windy. This huge gust of wind came and blew the bush. It was like a bush taller than me. It was like way taller than me, probably 10 feet, maybe a little more than 10 feet. And it blew the bush in this huge gust of wind, and it made this shape like I thought it was a giant bear. A giant bear. I was
Did
like,
it touch you?
ah!
Did it touch you?
And I was so scared. That was the last thing. All these other things kept happening in the house, and that was the last thing I saw. Like a huge gust of wind came up and blew it in the shape
Did
of a
it touch
giant
you?
bear.
Did it touch
No,
you?
I just looked up and I was like, ah! And I just got out of there and left.
You know, the spirit energy is called ether, right? It's a 19th century term. And because what you die, you go to the other side. You don't go to heaven or hell. You go into, it's like, let's make a deal. And people.
And you've died before.
6 times. In
So
this
you
life.
know what it felt. You went outside of your body.
Yeah, I'm
and
like
you
up
looked-
on the ceiling looking down at the floor, them trying to revive me. Yep.
You saw them doing that to your body.
Right. And I was.
When you were a kid and
No, I was 16. The
you
first
didn't,
time.
somebody gave you marijuana.
Right. The first
And
time
it
I
was
ever
too
smoked
strong
marijuana.
back then.
Well, I am a spiritual being, and I was not. And I was around people in the music industry who smoked pot. And I said, it's not going to hurt me. I smoked it, and I started coughing, and I think I lost my breath. That made me unconscious, and it was a spiritual experience that kind of pushed me out of my body. And then I was kind of floating over on the ceiling, watching these guys, and they didn't know what they were doing. They broke 2 of my ribs when I came back in, and that's what brought me back in, the pain of them friggin' breaking my ribs. And when they were like trying to push on my heart. Anyway, the first time I kind of went out was when I was 10, and I was in a hospital, and I kind of died. And
What happened before that when you were 10? You did something with an electric socket?
No, that didn't bother me at all. I was an infant, and I crawled up the first thing I did, because I'm a very electrochemical guy. I mean, electricity is probably my number one thing that I know about and experience, and my world view is electric. And when I was 1 year old, as an infant, I crawled over electric socket. I found a knife. I stuck it in the electric socket. And because I was an infant, I was known in
Nothing happened to
yes.
you?
Well, I was a floating ground. Meaning I felt the little woo, like tingling of the electricness, but I wasn't grounded, so it didn't flow through me.
And then you became an electrician.
Right. Yeah, that was like it.
Wait,
I'm 1 year old. I became an electrician.
Yeah.
And my mother came running over because my sister go, oh, help me, pluggy, boom, boom, because sparks were shooting out of the plug. And my mother came over and grabbed me, and because she was a big woman and just dragged her feet across the wool carpet, she was, charged, and so when she grabbed me, it blew her across the room.
Whoa.
I was like a capacitor,
Yeah.
and it blew her, and she broke her arm.
Oh.
And then for the next 6 months, they had me in the crib where they turned the crib upside down, and I was like incarcerated.
But what is the what are the events that, so you had events where you actually died and you could see your body hovering above it. And how does this relate to a paranormal experience?
Well,
You were
that is
saying
a
back to the thing you
paranormal
were
experience.
saying.
That is a EBEs are OBEs, out of body experience.
Yeah.
OBEs are paranormal experiences, and so I've had a number of those. And I had an Irish grandmother who had what they call she had the knack. And
What was the thing that you were talking about that you were using as an example, that I was using as an example, that you had you died? You said I died, and I said how have you died these different times? What were you talking about before? That
Well,
you said,
at 10 I died in the hospital because I was a sick kid. And when I was 10, I kind of died when I was born. The doctors really screwed it
what
up.
was interesting and paranormal about it that you experienced?
Well, the one where I was 16 and I was floating up on the ceiling and my body was down on the ground, that was pretty interesting and paranormal. But I've had the what is known as the life review 3 different times.
Life review.
Yes. So you die.
Oh, you're almost
die
going to go to the other side.
And you have this review where you see everything you did. And
you see it like almost like Scrooge, where the different ghosts show
yes,
him
that's
things that happened in
that's
his
it.
life.
That's where Dickens got
Really?
it. That's a life review, exactly.
Oh man!
So I had that 3 different times. Once, the first time I did it, I met a Indian mystic guru. He had the turban, the whole thing, and he opened up my third eye like that. And that was a bit much, because he shot me all over the universe. And that was such a shock. I went right, he touched my third eye and my spirit went that away.
A guru?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Oh, I forget. What it was I was
They have some guy's sad guru now.
No.
He talk like this, and you have to feel happy and good, and just things that
No, what it was I was in college, and then on the bulletin board it said, if you want to learn about spiritual enlightenment, come to room 302 on Thursday at 4 p.m. And I knew that was something cute girls would go to.
Oh, this was when you were a young guy?
In college.
Oh.
I was a freshman in college.
Oh, right.
And I'm going, cute girls are going to go to this. So I showed up early. They said 4 something. I showed up there at 3:45. I was the first guy there, and I was right. Pretty much the first person in was a cute girl. We started talking. Then another cute girl, then another cute girl. And there were about 5 cute girls, and then a guy came in. He must have had the same idea. And then about 3 or 4 more cute girls came in, and then we're all kind of talking, what's this going to be? Oh, I don't know. Because there was it just said, if you want to know about spiritual enlightenment, come to room. Anyway, this little guy, he had a white suit on, he had a turban, he was obviously Indian, he was, had brownish skin. He came in and he talked just like you were just talking, had that kind of...
He talks like this.
Exactly, he talked like that. He goes, and now... Exactly, and he said, now we're going to show you the wonders of transcendental meditation. And he kind of snapped his fingers, and we were like quiet. We no longer were jibber-jabbering. The monkey had quieted down, and he went around and he touched all of our foreheads on our third eye, and we were like off. It was like the magical mystery bus, and it was like we were seeing the whole universe. And he was like a tour guide, and you could hear his voice in your head, and he was going on and on and on about this and that, and he was showing us all the mysteries. And then he said, no, don't go there. Don't go there. No, that's just no, please don't go there. That's the joke of the universe. No, that's not important. No. And then I heard this bang, and it was the door slamming behind him, and I could hear him walking down the corridor saying, these Americans, they're useless, right? And then I kind of woke up and we were all on the floor laughing hysterically, all in puddles of our own urine and feces. Meaning we lost total control of ourselves because we had gone someplace else. Meaning we were no longer in control of our bodies.
Oh man.
Yes, to the point where we lost everything, right?
Oh wow.
And that was like that definitely was an out of body
Oh
experience.
yeah.
And I said, wow, that is more amazing than any drug or anything I've ever had. So I spent the next 10 years trying to get back to that place. So I investigated everything paranormal.
And that's what introduced you to meditation.
Yes, exactly. But it took
Wow.
me another 10 years to find a teacher who really, showed us in the right way. But I read every book. I joined every
Wow.
kind of,
That's interesting.
I joined the Theosophical Society. I joined, I became a member of Weiser's publishing company. I tried to learn everything I could, and that's why I was involved in the paranormal. So in New York, I was building sensory deprivation tanks. And that's a tank like a big bathtub that's totally covered, and you float, and the water is very salty, so you float on top of the water. You don't go into the water. You float on top, and you heat it to 98.6, so you're not cold. You take every kind of sensory, everything you can take out of it. You make it quiet. You put a Faraday cage around it so no electric anything can affect you. And when you have no sensory input, that's when you can take some serious travel.
Wow.
Yep. So I got pretty good at building those. So I made them for rich people. So when I was at Duke and I was hanging out with this cute girl who was definitely a rocket scientist, she was working on this project for DARPA about, DARPA wanted to figure out why these guys in India and Nepal could put swords through their cheeks, right? And then pull them out and they would heal within 15 minutes. Or you couldn't even see a scar.
Hmm.
You hear the ghost now?
Well, parts of their face, I know people, this is what I've seen, some people who get the thing called the blepharoplasty.
Right.
And they cut under their eye or something and take fat out, and then it heals and it looks like there's no cut, it looks like there's no cut there at all.
That takes a few days or weeks to heal up. This was healing like that, like in 15 minutes.
Was it because of the heated sword?
No. It's because these guys had such control of their body, they could make it heal like that. And so DARPA was interested in this because they wanted to make super soldiers who could get shot and keep going.
What year was that? Was that before?
1968.
Hey, that was before they came up with the Wolverine character.
Yes. And where do you think they got it from? Things like that.
Yeah, how he heals.
And the Nazis were all over this. In the 1930s, I mean, the guys who I was working for all had German accents, and they were like in their 60s. I mean, they came from Operation Paperclip.
Okay.
So there's very little difference. One man's magic is another man's science. And what we think is a paranormal experience is just an experience that we don't understand. So when you die, right? You don't die. Your soul stays there, and it's not like, what we're told it is, because
I've never died before.
But you've been around, you've known people who've died.
I've never seen my body outside of my body.
Have you been with anyone who's died? Like any parent or friend?
I've had people die.
So were you with them when they died? Or had you seen them before they died, a time before?
I recently saw this guy's dead foot when he was dead.
Right.
Hanging out of his hotel room. It was awful.
What did it bring up to you?
Just made me feel kind of sick. And I didn't want to be in the hotel anymore, and I left all these police officers
Was it
were there.
the matter of corruption? When I say corruption, I don't mean like against the law, but
he OD'd on some drug and was like a transvestite.
So, but did you pick up, because you're a sensitive
And
guy,
he was about
what,
60,
did you pick
60
up,
years old,
did you
exactly
pick up
60, I
anything?
believe.
Did you pick up anything? Like his feeling, was there any residue?
Yes, yes. I got a strong sense I could hear him before he died when I didn't know anyone was dying at all.
Right.
I ordered, this is going to sound some privilege or something. I ordered this really expensive food to my hotel. And as the guy was walking up to the door to knock on the door, I could hear him walking up, and I was hungry, but not that hungry. And I got this sense I could hear coming from where eventually I saw the guy that died. I saw his dead foot. I heard, hurry, hurry, like saying hurry. And then I guess he was dying in there.
And he wanted somebody to
But
find him?
I couldn't really hear it with my ears. I got the thought of it,
Right.
like somebody, I got the thought, and I thought it was like somebody, I didn't know what it was. It was just a thought, hurry, hurry. And I was like thinking, oh, it's me trying to get the food that I don't even really need that much.
Right.
But I was stuck in a hotel room by myself and kind of sad because I couldn't see my kids. They kicked me, they made me, my not my kids, but the you know, I couldn't stay at her house anymore, and she made me stay at a hotel, and I was feeling sad, so I'd get some food.
But you were sensing this guy.
And I was just some
you didn't even
expensive
know
food,
he was dead.
and it was like, hurry, and he was dying, but I was just thinking about like, oh, he's probably thinking it's me, or because I'm some privileged
No, you
person
weren't
that's
even
just getting this
thinking about him.
expensive food. I ate the whole meal. It was this like really good Cheesecake Factory meal. Cheesecake
But
Factory.
you didn't know he was dying.
Really
over there. You
expensive,
didn't
but I
even know
thought-
who he was, right?
I didn't know how else. I didn't have a car to drive around. I would have had to rent a car, so that was the only way I could get food to the apartment.
But you didn't know that guy, right?
And then I ate the whole meal so good. I finished the last bit of it,
Right?
and all of a sudden I heard all these sirens,
Right?
and they came. I was like, wow, that's loud. And they came right outside my door. Started walking up. They walked two doors down, and they knocked on his door or something. They said, eventually they said, yep, it's John. It's a John. And I was like, what? I thought I was dead or something. I thought, because they said some guy died.
Right.
Yep, he's a John Doe. He's a John Doe. And they started saying all this stuff about him, and I was like, are they talking about me? I thought I died or something. But it was then they said he's 60 years old. He was a cross-dresser. He was on drugs. He OD'd on drugs, had a history of drug abuse. And that was it. I was like, this guy just died. I was enjoying my meal as there was a dead person 2 rooms down. And it was just kind of gross and made me not feel that great. So I left. But that's the only time I've seen a dead person.
Now, your grandmother
be-
died recently, correct?
Yeah, my uncle died
Your
recently.
uncle. So, in those 2 cases,
Somebody was around him when he died.
But
It
did you
affected her very
sense them?
strongly.
Did you sense them dying?
Oh, my Aunt Lavinia, I knew when she was dead. I was 3,000 miles away. I was on my girlfriend at the time who I married. I was on her movie set. It was like a short film in film school. We were on a big sound stage. I was working really hard, putting these big sets up, doing it all myself. And we were, having the time of our life producing our own film, but it was a lot of hard work. And all of a sudden, I got this otherworldly, like, I just knew that it was her, that she died right then. I just
How did
knew.
that feel? What sense did you get? Was there any
It's the
particular-
only time I've felt that way when someone has died before. I've never been accurate with it any other time but that. And then I found out later that she had died.
Did you get any sense of it though? I mean, did you see her face? Did she talk to you?
No, just a strong feeling that she died, and I was very close to her, and I loved her, and I knew she died, but it wasn't like a bad feeling. I just knew that she died. It was almost like she went to be in a better place, and she wasn't suffering, and I knew she had died.
Right.
But when my uncle died, he finally died 20 years later. He was her husband.
Right.
And he just died recently. I have a video on him, Uncle Richard. He was in my movie Rednecks. He was in my movie The Vampire Zanzibar. That was a bad feeling. Like,
One of
gosh,
loss.
why did he die? That
One
felt
of loss.
bad.
A feeling of loss?
Yeah, it feels different at different times. Sometimes maybe it could almost feel good. I guess with Aunt Lavinia, it didn't feel as bad. It wasn't that. It may have been sad, but it wasn't like a bad feeling. When Uncle Richard died, it was like a bad feeling. I thought because I was very close to him, because I'm a single alone man who was very close, had a soulmate at one time who meant everything to me, and my family meant everything to me. I had kids, and I still have kids, but I don't have the wife anymore. And something happened where we got confused or whatever. Now I'm on my own a lot, alone a lot of the time, and that's how he is. Once she died, he had to be,
on his own.
yeah, on his own for all those years, 18, 19 years till he died. And he was a lot like me, like, you know, here and there he might go on a date with a woman or something, but none of them ever compared to his original soulmate.
Right.
And um and I was kind of worried because I related to him a lot, and then for him to die felt like, you know, I couldn't believe he died because I was pretty close to him, but you know, I didn't see him as much as my little sister who saw him a lot, but I related to him a lot because I I I felt similar in some ways, like I was a single guy going on after I didn't have my soulmate anymore. But when he died, it was a bad feeling. I haven't experienced anything supernatural with him coming back after he died.
So
I've
have you
kind of
had,
felt one time that he might have been there. I think that he was there one time, but I'm not sure.
have any of your friends or people you know died, or had people in their families who died that it affected them strongly? Like your
Yeah,
sister, did,
Taza got really affected by
because she
it.
was right there when that happened.
Oh yeah, my little sister. She was close to him when physically around the time that he died. About
She
she
was
almost had to see him die, but I don't want to talk about
okay.
that in
Don't, right.
public. Yeah, but that really affected her. That
But did you know anybody else
but
who
she's
had that kind of experience and talked to you about
um. Have you had an experience? How
it?
about you?
Oh yeah, I have lots because I was an EMT. I was a volunteer fireman, and we mostly, you know, in the 3 years that I was a volunteer fireman, we only went to one fire. But the thing we did most was car crashes and heart attacks at this trailer park. It was in our little area,
Wow.
and uh, you know, all the guys and gals in the trailer park were like retired people, and they didn't have much money, so they could just live. So none of them had a good lifestyle, and I would say at least twice a month we would respond to a heart attack, and I would say a third of the people didn't make it. We could spark them back up when we got there.
If you had enough time, you could save them.
2/3 we did, 1/3 not so much. They were their hearts were so destroyed that you could bring them back and they could be there, but all of their vital signs and everything that was going on in their body, even if unless they had a heart transplant, they or got hooked up to a heart lung
Wow,
machine.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of people die, and the car crashes were even worse because in our little section that we
Did you
responded.
experience anything paranormal with those?
Oh
types
yeah,
of people?
oh yeah, lots, lots. So the car crashes were worse because those people had heart attacks. They
Whoa.
knew their hearts, that was the end of their life. They knew they had bad hearts. They were doing bad things. They just wanted to die, and so they kept eating pounds of cheese. Whereas the car crashes, there were these two interstates, and instead of having a clover leaf,
Pounds of cheese. Oh.
yeah, people do that, and the two interstates just crossed each other.
That seems like it would be more bad for somebody's stomach, not their heart
No,
necessarily.
it creates
Unless the-
cholesterol
with the
and then it
saturated
clogs.
fat,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it clogs them up. Cheese is the worst thing.
But if they exercise a lot,
These people were not exercising at all. They were sitting in their lazy boy watching TV with the. They didn't even get up to change the channel.
oh man,
These people were toast. Anyway, they burnt themselves out, and they didn't try to do anything
cigarettes
different.
maybe,
Everything, booze, cheese, worse, you name it.
and the
everything.
sitting there
Yes,
sedentary,
yeah,
and all,
for 20,
and all the
right, exactly.
yeah.
They weren't really using their life. They just wanted to die, and if they could muster the courage. A couple of those people
That's
put a
terrible.
gun in their head and
Oh.
took themselves out. So, yes,
But,
man,
we
this
don't want
one
to talk
guy,
about it too much.
this
because-
one guy who blew his top
No,
of
no,
his
don't,
head
don't,
off.
don't go into graphic detail.
Okay, well, I won't go to graphic
No,
details, but
have-
his ghost was there.
What was?
Yes.
It was?
Yes.
What do you mean? What did he look like?
He looked straight out of Ghostbusters.
What are you talking about?
Meaning, so, you know, we get the call, we're volunteers.
What are you talking about? You see a ghost flying around?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Not all of
Ghostbusters,
us.
what do you want?
Me, the captain, and this one police sergeant who we always came to these things because it was our zone. We were, you know, spiritually sensitive. And we knew this. We used to go out and drink and tell stories about this. And yeah, this guy, the whole top of his head was like on the back of the room.
Oh, no.
And he was just, he was.
But what
this
was
whole
his
part of
ghost?
him-
How did his ghost look like?
It was almost like this. I mean, there was like,
That's terrifying.
he was in a lazy boy chair and there was another one over there. And the TV was on, still on, and when we got there, and the sergeant was there, and he made some cracks, you know, it's another guy without a head. And so
But
we
don't
went,
go into graphic detail.
I won't, I'm not. So we went in there, and he, you know, like I said, you looked at him
No,
front
don't say
here,
the stuff.
you
No,
looked at him
please
front
don't
here,
talk about
he
the
looked
graphic.
normal. You know?
But he had killed himself or something. No,
You know, the whole
That's
back
awful.
here, right?
please don't talk about
So there he
that.
was.
Just the ghost.
So he's there. So I'm here, and the sergeant kind of goes like this, and I look over at the other lazy boy, and he goes, "Do you see that, or am I just imagining it?" And I say, "I see that." And I look at my captain. Captain, how about you? Can you see that? She goes, "Oh yes." And there was a guy there, and he looked just like this guy, and he was totally freaked out. He was like, you know, just he couldn't. You know, he was like. And his whole body, his head would like shake like this, and he couldn't get out. He goes, "I want to get out." I mean, we couldn't hear what he was saying, but you could see his mouth say, "I want to get out." And he was stuck right there, having to look at himself and realize what he had did, and realized he couldn't go anywhere.
Oh.
He was stuck right there, right? So we kind of said, okay, and we went outside, and I don't even smoke cigarettes, but I was smoking a cigarette with these two people. Then the rest of everybody showed up, and we just sat in there. And those guys weren't sensitive like we were, so they just went about their business. And the ME came in, and the guy taking the pictures came in.
He said he was like standing. He was sitting, like in that chair.
Yeah, he was a lazy boy right here, and there was another lazy boy there, and his ghost was in the lazy boy, and he couldn't get out, couldn't get up. He goes, "I want you." We couldn't hear him, but we could see his
Whoa,
mouth
that is
saying,
crazy.
"Right, I want to get out. I want to get out." And what happened
That is crazy.
was that so they cleaned it all up, and half of the of this trailer park, those trailers were rented. They weren't. The people didn't own the trailers; they just paid rent on them. And after that, they could not rent that trailer. They had to tow it away, and they tried to sell it, and they couldn't sell it, so they had to like set it on fire.
Oh my God! What, was he still in it?
He couldn't get out.
Oh,
That's why you don't want to kill yourself like that.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
you don't want to do that. And what
So
that
he
is,
felt like he was stuck, and
He
was
was.
trying
He
to
didn't-
leave,
he-
and
he
it
said-
didn't work.
he thought he kept, we couldn't hear him, but I could read lips, and he was saying, "I just wanted to end it, just wanted to end it. I couldn't stand living anymore, and I'm still alive," because he felt that he was still alive, even though that
man.
he was looking at the body right across from him. He was totally freaking out.
How long do you think it went on for?
We didn't go back in that room, but I think it went on for a long time because they tried to rent
Was
it
it
out.
a bad feeling? A good? What did you feel like seeing all
I
that?
felt very sorry for the guy. Not bad.
You didn't have like a bad feeling.
No, I
like
just
a bad horror movie or something.
No.
Huh.
I just felt very empathetic. I felt sorry, pity. Basically
How long do you think he had to suffer like that?
God knows. Really, only God knows.
The rest of his real life would have been his life.
Eternity.
No.
He's now corporeal. That is eternal. He could have been, he still could be there now. Even
Really?
after they set the trailer and all the furniture on fire, he could still be there. That is what the...
I don't think that's fair with the eternity for doing something like that.
Well, eternity...
Maybe 100 years, maybe
John,
maybe
John, you
1,000.
have to realize time...
Maybe for Hitler,
time,
10,000, but
time
not
doesn't
forever.
exist. Time doesn't exist. Meaning, he will be set free once he lets go of the reason why he did that. Most people will go when they let go of the things that keep them stuck. And that's part of the storyline, is that...
How do you define stuck? Financially stuck? Or
No. It's your emotional
But
state.
you seem to say that you, before, like a year or so ago, you would say that I was stuck and going the same circles.
No, the thing is that people have it, you can do, why we are here, why we have this life. It isn't to become
I got
famous.
this house though.
Right,
That was a
good.
new
Yeah,
thing
no,
that I
yes,
did. That was pretty amazing.
Yes, that was very amazing, right? And you have the opportunity. See, and that's the other thing is, stuck is when time doesn't exist.
I got the Ronald McDonald video.
Right. So, what were you feeling when that happened?
It had 51
No,
million views.
forget that. What were you feeling when you did
Happiness, peace, well-being, calm state of mind. Finally, after a year of hard labor,
that? Longer than
working
that.
12 hours
9
a
years
day.
you were in a place of
Not
like...
really. Oh, yeah,
leading
but I
up
was
to
working
it.
at films and stuff, and always working at some other things, even though they weren't
And then
really
working
making
and really all
that
of
much
that
money.
stuff that had to deal with
And
money,
finally, it was Labor Day weekend.
right?
I had worked at manual labor 12 hours a day for a year with no days off. I think I maybe had one day off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a year later, I got to the guest house, and it was Labor Day weekend. I had felt like I could have died the day before because I worked so hard. I was out in the rain with the flu, and something messed me up, so I went into town and I couldn't get back up the hill, and it was way late at night, and I couldn't sleep without my medicine, and I barely made it up the hill to go to sleep at night. And I told myself, tomorrow I am not gonna work on this house anymore. I am not gonna even make videos. I'm not gonna do any of that type of stuff at all. I'm gonna take the whole day off. And it happened to be Labor Day weekend. It was
happened to
something
be
special
a
and
sunny,
amazing.
beautiful day the next
Yeah,
day.
and somehow I did nothing the whole day. I even had coffee then, and it didn't affect me in a bad way, but that's something different. But or had whatever, I had food and stuff. I just relaxed, and for the first time in a year, I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to work. For the first time in a year. Took the whole day off. Somewhere during that day, and it was Labor Day weekend, I looked on my cell phone and checked the numbers of my YouTube page, and something strange happened. Something went way up high. It was my Ronald McDonald video. The one on my page isn't that big. Her video is huge. Hers was getting like, I don't know, 1 million hits a day or 1 million hits every few days. Something like that. But my video was getting big. And so all of a sudden it started making money. For the first time in my whole life, my own original films were making a lot of money, like 100 something a day.
So,
like
the real deal about this is
after
that you
all that
let
art
go.
doing it.
You let it go.
Yeah.
You didn't worry about it. You just let it go.
Yeah.
And that's what...
And it lasted 3 days, kept getting bigger, the whole Labor Day weekend. The fourth day, I tried to be like, I'm just going to enjoy myself a little bit. Then I started working again, and I had to really get to work on this house to get heat in here for the winter time. And I mean, I really had to start working. It was difficult. I had to go back to work for another 6 or 7 months, like 12 hours a day pretty much. And it was difficult because there was no heat in here. But I went back to work on that and everything. So
But that's the
it
essence
went
that's
pretty
what I'm
big.
talking about. When you let it go.
Her video was making tons of money.
When you let it go. When you don't worry about it. That's when things move. And that's what I'm talking about.
But I couldn't recreate it. I could recreate the feeling when I finally got all done with this house, got it insured, I felt really peaceful, like a heaven, like not necessarily the way my face looked, but the things that I could see, the beautiful sunlight coming in outside. It was like a CGI reality of heaven. I got to experience the way heaven would feel to me. It was so peaceful. I didn't have to work. I finally didn't have to do that manual labor that I was doing 12 hours a day. And I just got to stay at this house for like 3 or 4 months like that and felt amazing. Talking to anyone down in town that I used to talk to, agitate me, take like a day or a few days to get over it. Then I'd be back to myself and I just felt like really at peace and happy out here, away from people finally. The first time in my whole life where I didn't have to be around other people all the time and hear them through the walls in apartments and always be around people. I suggest if you have any mental anxiety or any types of problems like that with anxiety, or some people have worse, try getting off caffeine and try going away from all those people, like out to the woods where it's safe.
Nature.
Yeah, but you still have some neighbors around just in case. And,
Well,
and
we're in
coming to this house, I had never felt like that in my whole life for that long. I felt like agitated, always having to. I didn't
this
feel.
house is not only its location, but the house. There's no other house like this place.
Yeah, and it took coming to this house, well, to feel that way, just because it's away from people. And I don't want to say there's something really special about it, but what about the scary ghost stuff?
Well, the scary ghost
Any
stuff.
Paranormal?
Well, the guy, being stuck in that chair.
How does that tie in? Oh yeah,
That's pretty scary. Normal.
Yeah.
And what does paranormal mean?
but how does that tie into the feeling of peace and the?
The feeling of peace is when you are the only true essence of
To avoid being stuck in something
Right.
like that.
is love's co-creation, and that's
To
where
feel
you
good, to actually feel happy,
right is to be.
but not in a carnal, worldly way.
No,
to
and
like
that's not
stop letting
happiness.
things annoy you.
What
maybe.
is the true
Unless
essence of happiness is when you make others happy. When you make others happy, that makes you happy. Not making $1 million, not getting, having a trophy wife, not having a cool car or being cut, but when you see other people you care about happy, that's true happiness, right? And when you can let go of whatever anxiety that is bothering you at the moment, that's when you can relax enough to let yourself be happy. And what that guy's problem was, he blamed him. He was going to be stuck in that lazy boy chair for the rest of eternity until he could forgive himself. And that is the true essence of paranormal, is when you get stuck in this place that really
But
doesn't.
he would have felt bad that he gave up that irreplaceable life. That he
Right.
had a life on earth. He could have done anything.
He could have done anything.
And he probably felt wrong.
He didn't have to spend 20
Once it had
years
gone on
in
enough suffering,
right.
he probably must have thought, I don't deserve this anymore.
So I'm just going to blow my brains out.
No. Once after he was dead and he was a ghost,
He had to forgive himself.
He'd have to suffer that way for a long time. But then he
could have. He could have gone.
Unfair.
This is why
And
I've
then
seen
finally
people.
God
I've seen
God
this
would let
before, and I saw people go away like within this. Like, okay, this one car crash where this person. So my job, I was the EMT. Emergency medical technician, and I was a first responder. So I had emergency room tech. I could put lines in. I could do a cut. Airway. I could do all those kind of things. Not everyone can do that. I got trained to do that.
And we're gonna check the comments here in a second and see
Right.
if you want to ask anything about the paranormal
Right.
experiences, ask it.
So-
we'll check them as we're doing the video.
So this one person, so this highway, it was like the death highway, 2 interstates crossing, so big trucks wouldn't see the little car cutting in front, squish, right?
Oh, terrible.
And that happened 3 or 4 times a week. We had to scrape people off the highway 3 or 4 times a week. And what was truly amazing, we would find somebody who'd been thrown out of the car. I remember this woman, I don't know, she must have been somewhere between 20, 25, really very attractive, had a beautiful white gown on, dress, and she'd been ejected from the car. And when we got there, the car had been squished, so we had to pull it apart, and there was nobody in the car. What happened? You know, there's nobody in the car. It's like, what happened? And then we put up a perimeter and we searched around. And we found her, and there wasn't a speck of blood on her or anything wrong with her, but she was dead.
Oh man.
She broke her neck or something happened. She was dead, right?
Oh, that's terrible.
Right. So
That's awful.
yeah. So that kind of freaked everybody out. But by law, until the ME comes, somebody's got to stay with them. So my job was to, you know, assess people, whether dead or alive, or whether they're going to make it, or what we have to do to them, right? And then there was this team of us that would work on them, and the other team would deal with the whatever, and then the bus would come and we would take them to the hospital. So I'm sitting next to this girl and I'm kind of talking to her. You okay? How you doing? And then her spirit, it was like just what you explained, like kind of a little foggy thing, came out of her. And I was going, wow. And I started talking to her like she was still there. And as she came out, and I said, you know, it's okay, you know, you're dead, you know, and there you are. Here comes your spirit. You know, you're okay. It's all fine. Don't freak out. And she was, I'm not really freaked out. And I said, really? She says, yeah, I kind of knew this was going to happen. And I said, how'd you know it was going to happen? And I could hear her in my head. And she wasn't all there. She was kind of her face was kind of there, but she was more ether than like the guy who was all green, and he was 100% there. He was just screaming. I knew this, I had this sense that it was going to happen. And I said, really? How did you know? She goes, I had a dream when I was 10. Really? And then when my grandma died, I was with her and she said, dear, dying isn't that a big of a deal. Just kind of, you know, and her grandma said, if you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live. I said, oh. And so this girl, when she was 10, started to study Buddhism because that term got stuck in her head and she used it. And this one guy said, oh, Buddha used to say that. And then she started reading Buddhism. And by the time she was 14 or 15, she knew what she wanted to do. She went off and did it. And no time in her life did she not do the thing that she really wanted to do that made her feel happy. And so she was in a good state. And so she was around 25 or something like that. And she was finished college and she was a librarian and she liked that, but it was okay. It wasn't big anything, but she liked reading books and she knew she was going to die.
She did.
Yep. And so I said, well then, you know, and I kind of gave her.
Oh, you know what?
What?
I knew a girl in high school that was very beautiful, and her name, I don't know if I should say her. I'm not going to say her
Don't say her
name.
name. You don't have to.
Yeah, but she died when she was 17. I believe when she was 17. And she asked me to go out with her. And she was one of the prettiest girls in the school that I knew of, that to me personally that I liked.
Right.
And I wanted to go out with her, but I had no confidence. And I said, well, maybe you should just go out with somebody else instead. You're not a good match or something. And she asked me to go out with her. I said, maybe not or something, because I was like not confident about myself. It was either in high school or junior high.
Mm-hmm.
And she died when she was 17.
How did she die?
She was very pretty, really beautiful. She went out with one of my friends instead. And somehow I didn't go out with her. And what happened was, and there was a time when we were driving. I had a Jeep Cherokee back then, and we'd party and stuff. And I'd drive, kind of fast on this back road. And she was in the car. And she started crying. Like uncharacteristically crying. No one else was crying. They were like, oh, he's going pretty fast. But she started crying.
Right.
Because she must have had a sense that she knew she was going to die.
Right. And that she didn't want to die at that minute.
And right then, when I was driving kind of fast on these back roads around turns and stuff, she she started to cry, and I noticed she cried. No one else was crying or everything. We were just, we thought we could do anything. We were teenagers. We weren't gonna get hurt. And she started crying. She must have had a sense that she was gonna die.
Did she ever talk to you about it?
And what happened was, no, she asked me to stop driving fast, so I stopped. I don't know if I was going over the speed limit, but I was going fast around those turns, and it was like a cliff on the edge of it. It was right down there somewhere on these back roads that cut through something. And anyway, so I wasn't as safe a driver as I was now. I was going a little bit fast in my Jeep Cherokee.
And you could have gone off the cliff and killed everybody.
No, I doubt it. I was very confident.
But she wasn't. She was scared and didn't want to die at that moment.
But the thing that happened was there was a cliff around those same places, like around kind of between here and where I used to live growing up.
Right.
And she fell off the cliff. She fell off a cliff. It was like a high cliff where there's a waterfall, I believe. And one of her favorite songs was "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls" by TLC. And that song, it was so sad when it would play, because everyone back then would remember that was her friend. And she had 2 or 3 friends that were girls that were there, all the closest. And she ended up dying. She fell off of the it was like at the top of a waterfall on a rock or something, on the edge of something, and she fell off and died. And they put a picture of her in the paper. On the front of the paper, somehow this beautiful shot of her like holding a butterfly. Back then, it was really hard to get a butterfly to land on you. I mean, now I've had them land on me and stuff. I can touch them.
So this place up here, you've had that, right?
Yeah, because just here.
Up here, there's lots of butterflies, and
there were a lot. And then I saw down the road, way down there, a bunch of them got ran over and killed.
There's a ton.
But it's no big deal.
So what? Read the list on the.
Yeah, but she there's a beautiful picture of her carrying with a live butterfly, pretty live butterfly, beautiful 17-year-old girl. It's really sad.
So what is the chat been?
Let me go check the.
Yeah, check the chat.
Oh, and they said they communicate. Her friends could communicate with her.
I'm sure they did.
A little bit here and there.
When you're close to people, you can talk to them.
Yeah. Talk about paranormal experiences. Hey. Oh my gosh.
So what do they say?
We're gonna check the.
Check the chat.
Yeah, check the thing.
Check the chat.
Oh my gosh. So are you related to, wait. Before you had your hands somewhere, are you Al, you're not just Al, you're Al Bundy?
Al Bob. Al Bundy. So what does that say?
Al Bundy.
What does that say?
Wait. Okay, here. Let me check all the things. Let me turn it so I'm going to switch the camera angle. Okay. Wait. Okay, I'm going to read the comments.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Wow, a lot of comments. Greetings, Earthmen. Bubby Blindy. Absolutely riveting story. Beware or wear trees of bare trees. Heyo, somebody Forever Conscious Research Channel said, Heyo, I've always wanted a tank. Deprivation, sensory deprivation tank. I had some crazy experiences in them. I have been in a floating tank. Cool for not dying in. Really expensive food. Once paid $3.8 million for an egg on toast. That's Bubby Blindy. He comments a lot on our videos.
Hey, buddy.
Indeed, just a zombie something. I don't know what he's saying. It's a blue whale. I didn't like beer. I don't know what he said. So did my pet blue whale. Just did. It's amazing how many yawns I've got going on right now. Excuse me while he said it electrocuted himself. Oh my gosh. Hello, Mazzola Jewelry and Gallery. Hello from New Zealand. I've had a number of lost souls sent onto the light who are living in houses I lived in. Wow, if she's still on there, she could maybe comment and we'll, uh, you know, uh, if you have any questions, we can answer them. Anyone have any questions? Hey, glad you're still hanging together, guys. Yeah, you still in the same spot. That house was sweet. Yeah, but Bob was in danger of unconsciousness due to extreme excitement. Something about mushrooms. Well, no. Uh, yeah, I don't do any of the garbage, the drugs. High dose mushroom trips. Somebody's saying. Eating and living Ronald crack Donald in hard labor. Bubby Blind. He has 100 billion views or non-views. Okay, hi guys, love and light to you all. Jamie Hillier, Red Ink. What a treat! I think John is leaning job satisfaction and more importantly detachment from expectation.
Right.
Hello from Orlando, Florida. Kathy Ashby. Jamie Hillier, Redding. Mushies may help. Could do. Bubby have taken me for 40 years. Moderately taken. Helped him for 40 years. Well, if they're non-hallucinogenic and they're just mushrooms that if you're a mycologist and you get the right ones, you can eat them. Greetings and blessings from Ireland, Kathy. That's to Kathy. Hi, I was happy with my pet blue whale until it drunk all my whiskey.
Yeah.
Tongue sticking out, heart symbol, psychonaut portal. I don't know what that is. Those blue whales can drink buggers for that, but what can you do? I don't know what he's talking about. That spirit just needed help crossing over to the light. Right. This is Kathy Ashby. They can be resistant due to learned beliefs and may be afraid of consequences.
And also they're punishing themselves. That was that guy's problem. He was punishing himself until he could forgive himself. He wasn't going anywhere.
There's a bunch of them. I scrolled down. You're a star from somebody. I don't know which ones he's talking about or if he's talking about somebody else. I love these guys. Somebody said, please, that stuff is interesting. You've had enough. Friar Drake, 009.
Yeah.
You have had enough of words. Now it's time to live them. I am never silent. The voice deep within the soul is my voice.
Yep. 09. He's all right.
Been watching you a while. It could be sweet. Thank you, Jamie Hillier. Thank you, beloved.
You too, Jamie.
The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there's no law. That's what the last ride said.
Yep. Last ride. Hey, love you, the last ride.
Somebody does drugs or something. I hope they're legal. Such a stigmatized subject. Psychonaut, somebody else.
Yep.
Advise, try not to let your pale blue whale behind the wheel after consuming a lot of whiskey.
Is that Buddy saying that?
Yeah, Bubbly Blind. Somebody said something about Satan always always brings me some nice treats. Or I don't know what he's talking.
Santa Claus.
Oh, Santa. For God's sake.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. To talk about the paranormal experiences you had in Australia. Wait. Later clause on with 2019. Oh, paranormal experiences you had in Australia with the natives.
Yep, had a lot of those.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. You want to talk about them?
Actually, I don't. I'm getting tired.
You're getting tired.
I am going to go do guys, 7 p.m. Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob.
Yeah.
Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob.
All right.
7 p.m. What time is it now?
Oh, it is...
What's your phone say?
Something. It's hard to tell. We started when it was still dark.
Well, it wasn't quite dark. We started around 5-ish. We haven't done this for an hour.
So we're not gonna. He doesn't have the energy to give a whole chat. He's been planning one all day on his channel.
Yep.
Hey, there's my wheelbarrow.
Sensei Al Bob.
Okay.
Yep. Get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. So, but we'll do more of these, kids. This is the first of, what is this titled? Paranormal what?
This is Paranormal Encounters.
Right. So this is our new show on John Birmingham's channel.
Yeah.
Our new show. And it's the both of us. The both of us. We're both equally here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say goodnight,
It's a
Gracie.
show. It's not really a show.
Sure, it's a show. This is a show. This is a show. This is like...
Oh, it's Paranormal Encounters.
Yes, it's a show.
But actually, you don't put quotes on it.
Why not?
Because I learned in film production that you just leave it at... If it's a movie title,
right,
you put the movie title, capitalize the first words,
right,
the first letter of the first words,
right,
and you put it, and it's underlined.
So, but this is a show. It's not a movie title. This is a show.
Oh.
This is like the Tonight Show.
So am I going to be the producer of it and star, and you're the star?
We are both.
So are we going to do production value? Or are we going to have? Are we going to do
this? Hey, we got movie
should
lights.
We have?
This is movie lights.
Should we have recreations?
No.
Of the actual events?
No.
Like actors portraying them?
No.
Like the guy that was sitting in the chair.
That's good enough. No. We don't need to waste our time.
But that's horrible. That's
this
the regular stuff.
This is a show.
He'll probably be okay, like after 100 years of that or something. After he's suffered enough,
right?
Maybe his body will get to be reincarnated or go to the other side or something. Maybe he'll start helping people as a ghost.
He has to let it go.
He'll start helping people.
He has to let it go.
He'll become a guardian angel.
He'll become a gardener. He'll be pushing up daisies.
But I feel sorry for him, right? I should.
John, that was the story. You know, I felt sorry enough for him. The three of us did. You know.
But he's give
me a hand up, kiddo.
Yeah, good job on the video.
No, get there.
Nobody know. Hey, we already turned it off. We're just talking here by ourselves.
No.
Secret handshake.
No, get me out of this
stuff.
Get me out of this chair.
Let's go turn into lizard creatures.
Give me a hand up.
Let's go turn into lizard creatures that are 8 feet tall. Come on, no one's filming.
No.
Do it.
I need
turn shape shifting now.
Okay, this.
Okay, wait. I'm
turning
it off.
Help
Are
me!
you in a stand?
Help me, John! Help me!